Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supah Nerd-tendo on No Fucks Given Radio.
Select your player. Player 1, start.
You're serious, aren't you?
About what I do, yes. Not necessarily the way I do it.
The Thing. Is this dork made of orange rock like the rest of his body?
It's a different morality. Get used to it or go home.
As long as I'm not that person.
The evil one.
Well, nobody's perfect, but that's overstating it a little.
Comic book shit.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Yeah, pretty obscure.
Don't you think that's plain damn weird?
Your hosts, Mr. DKB and Racer XX Cash of the Supah Smash Bros and the Unknown Factor.
Did it work?
Supah Nerd-tendo.
Enough said.
Yeah, because it's Supah Nerd-tendo. No Fucks Given Radio. That's right. I am your host, The Unknown Factor. As always, I got them Smash Bros with me, Mr. DKB and Racer XX Cash. Gentlemen, what's up?
What up?
I don't know, man. I heard tonight on Supah Nerd-tendo, we really gotta fucking think, because it's got some asshole trying to throw me in a tank, and his name's Matt Hawkins from Top Cow Productions. Matt, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? I'm happy to be on.
Fantastic. Look at that. He's like,
Thanks
oh,
for being on the show.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on, man.
You made me speechless already.
Yes. That's points. Racer, I'm going to let you take the first question because I got like 30,000 places I kind of want to go because I know this gentleman, correct me if I'm wrong, you still are the COO of Top Cow Productions, correct?
Yes, I'm the COO and president of Top Cow Production, and currently I'm actually writing the most books for the company, so I'm very prolific. I do 3 books a month right now.
Whatever, there's one thing I really want to bug the shit out of you about right off the bat because it's just something I'm an avid fan of, though. And that's Where the Fuck's the Darkness movie?
Well, we don't make movies. We make comics, and so we license that stuff out to film and TV companies, and they either put into development. There have been several scripts for both Witchblade and The Darkness for feature films, both of which the scripts have come in and not been anywhere near where we would have been happy with the film or anyone would have been happy with the film. What typically happens on so many of these projects is you attach. I mean, we've probably had 50 different options that have gone into development in my career. And only 3 or 4 of those have ever actually made it to the screen. So there's a long process. The biggest hurdle is getting a script that everyone likes and that people sign off on to put the money into and to go into casting and budgeting and that sort of thing. And that is the hurdle where most of these things die. And because I've sold Think Tank as a film and a TV show, both of which did not go forward. I've had about 5 or 6 other things that I've written that have not gone forward. But I've never written a Darkness or Witchblade thing, but we've had multiple tries at that, and we keep sort of trying. I mean, it's a combination of luck, finding the right team, and because you spend on Think Tank specifically. I spent a year working with these guys where I talk to them on a regular basis, and then the scripts come in, and people aren't happy with it, and then the project's dead. So I mean that happens all the time, and it's why so much stuff. People get excited. I've stopped announcing for the most part options. Like, we don't really announce options anymore and make like big press releases out of it. I see a lot of other companies doing it, but I got tired of asking. People would ask me, where's the Magdalena movie? And I'm like, well, we optioned it. They wrote a script. We actually even had an actress and a director cast on that, and then the script went to 3 drafts, and the studio decided to kill it. So I mean that's really sort of there's elements of that are out of our control, and so we control what we can control, and we can control comics. We make and write and publish comic books, and so anything that specifically deals with the comic books is 100% on us. All the other stuff, there are a lot of partners and a lot of moving parts, and we have to figure out how to make that work. It's kind of I got to be honest, I kind of hate it. I mean, it's a big pain in the ass, and you deal with a lot of egos and a lot of people, and it's writing by committee. I think one of the reasons why so many movies are bad is because there's so many people it has to go through in order to be approved, and every single one of those people puts their thumbprint on it, and in many cases those aren't creative people. And I think when you get a bunch of non-creative people giving creative people advice, and many times it doesn't work. So that's why there's no Darkness film. I mean, I love it. I mean, here's the thing. This is one of those things that kind of frustrates the hell out of me, actually. I get this all the time where people send me something on Facebook. It's like, hey, man, why haven't you made this or that or the other thing into this? Because, you're depriving the fans. I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit. If that got made, I'd get like $1 million. You don't think I want $1 million? So, I mean, No, do you know what I mean? I mean, let's be real here. If
Hell yeah.
it gets made, not only do we get a lot of money, but we also are going to sell a fuck ton of comics. Because if there's a Darkness movie on the screen, I guarantee you I'm going to sell a bazillion extra Darkness books that year.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those things that drives me insane when people, kind of. I know you did it in kind of more of a questioning way, but I get some of that on Facebook and IM and places I'll see like, oh, what's wrong with Top Cow for not, making. I got to tell you, almost every day I have a chambered fuck off that I'm ready to fire on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or any of those, and I never stop. I never send it.
Fuck. Hawkins, oh shit, dude, that is fantastic, Matt. Oh shit, no, I just, in all honesty, yeah, bringing the Darkness film up. I know, as far as the Limbo, that considering, it's just that's my shit. As far as I'm taught, I fucking love those books. I do that whole series. And in all honesty, if it ever got made into a film, I'm gonna be one of those fucking fans. It's like that wasn't right. I don't give a fuck what you do, unless somebody actually really gets it perfect. Which with that particular series, with like I said, with the Witchblade and Darkness, I think that's one of them. Well, fuck, I mean, a shitload of comics you guys put out actually would be difficult to do, but I think that one, with the entirety of the universe and the 3 artifacts you initially start out with and then go to the more, God, that's a fucking lot to make right.
Yeah, no, it's a pain in the ass, man. And I mean, it's nothing would make me happier than to have a really good film come out on one of our projects, I mean, when Wanted came out, that did really well for Mark Miller, kind of kicked off his career. I mean, we were part of that. But, if any of these things happened and they happened and the properties were good and the film was good, it would do enormous benefits for us. I mean, I look at that all the time. But the cautionary tale I always tell people, and this is part of the reason why, we get in there and talk to the writers and we fight to try to make sure that the projects themselves are good. Because do you remember the Talissa Soto Vampirella film that came out in 1998 or 99 or whatever the hell it was? You may or may not, but the film was god awful and it kind of killed the property for a decade. Vampirella was a very
I remember that film actually, and because they never even got close to the original cost. It's the only that's terrible, Matt. The only thing I can remember about it is that it was fucking terrible. I don't even remember how I seen it because it was real hard to come across. I think I got it at Suncoast.
From Mortal Kombat. The only thing I remember from it.
I think I picked it up at Suncoast in the mall. That's about the only thing I fucking remember about it. And it sucked.
I owned it, but.
So I mean that's if you put out, it's better to not put out something like that than to put out something that's bad, and that's one of the things that Sylvester and I have always kind of agreed to is that we'd rather not there be a Witchblade film than have a bad Witchblade film come out. We'd rather there be none because at least then we can stand by the comics we've done, and even anytime you do a long series like we did 20 years of Witchblade books, so. I actually wrote the last issue of Witchblade, the last one that came out, 185. I wrote half of it, the second half of it. So I wrote the final words of Sarah Pizzini, which was kind of fun. I went back in the process of doing that and reread the first 184. And even when you're in publishing, it's kind of hard to go back and do that because I got to tell you, man, there were some wild swings in quality. There was books and arcs that I thought were fucking amazing, and there were arcs and some of the books I'm like, ugh, and so it's. I think anytime you do a really, really long-running series, that's sort of one of the problems you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, man. Now I'm going to bring up another book from Top Cow. It's like the Darkness. The reason was I loved Garth Ennis's work on that and how he initially started the character. And then I think if I remember properly, he wrote it later on. He dropped and then he jumped back on at one point later on as well. And I think he did the best work on that series. So yeah, I see what you're saying as far as just, you see different qualities of work. Now, I want to ask two things real quick, man. One, if you could pick a property you guys have right now and just know that you could get a fucking movie made, Matt, and then it was gonna be done right, what property, if you just have one you could pick, would you want to take out of everything you guys do? Don't be fucking egotistical about it now and be like, I'm picking one of mine.
No. No, I actually think a successful movie done on the Darkness would actually do Top Cow the most overall. I mean, because it ties into the Witchblade and the Magdalena and into the other artifacts, and so we have an entire universe of characters. To where if let's say some studio put out a Darkness film and it did really well, they might be inclined to move forward in some sort of like a cinematic universe kind of thing where there's a Witchblade and a Magdalena and all these other things. That's what we were trying to do. We had Witchblade and Darkness both set up at New Regency for a number of years, and Lynn Wiseman of Underworld fame we were working with some writers, and the scripts came in, and just no one liked the scripts, and that happened because we really wanted to do that, where we would launch with a Darkness film, and because it makes so much sense where you have Jackie Estacado, who's a criminal, and you've got Sarah Pazzini, who's a cop, so that's naturally opposites, and the one thing I always loved about Jackie was he was kind of a badass guy, but he wasn't really a good guy, but he found something that scared even him, which was darkness, and he had to kind of try to become a good guy to prevent it from destroying the world. If you look at the Darkness from kind of a top-down sort of look, that's really sort of that character's arc and journey. It was fun to do. And like I said, Tom Judge, there's so many of these other characters that tied together into the quote-unquote Top Cow universe with the 13 artifact bearers that includes Aphrodite 9 and then generates into the whole universe that I created with that Aphrodite 9 and 9th generation that I did with Stefan Sage. I actually, I'm not saying that because you just said it. I actually think the Darkness would be good because we've already had a Witchblade TV show and we've already had a Witchblade animated show. We've had the 2 Darkness video games. But what I get at the booth everywhere I go is, where's the Darkness movie? Where's the 3rd Darkness video game? Only on occasion do I get people that are, as passionate about Witchblade as they are about the Darkness. So I think the Darkness would be the best one overall to be done for Top Cow. I don't think the Darkness is going to be the first film that we get in the short term. I kind of wish it would be. Part of the reason why I shifted to doing so many of the books like we've done in the last 5 or 6 years has been to try to create stuff that's a little more grounded in reality, because that stuff tends to be easier to make. Marvel and DC sort of own the spandex set, and there's so much other stuff that's in the supernatural vein now that we've tried to create and develop a number of titles, a la kind of Think Tank to Tithe and some of these other books that are more grounded in the real world. So I don't know. I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, any film made by anything that's attached to one of our properties would be beneficial. But when you make something that's just sort of isolated and on its own and self-contained, it never helps us much. Wanted was a great movie and a great comic book, but we never saw any real follow-up to that benefited us for any of our other titles.
See that's terrible because you bring up Wanted, and I think it's funny. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let either DKB or Racer take the next question because I haven't shut the fuck up. But you say Wanted, I think that's funny because I was a fan of Top Cow before Wanted. Like the movie came out and all that. But then I've seen the movie, and look, man, I still haven't read that comic, even though Racer is fucking explained to me it's way crazier, and I'm like, fuck, I need to read that, and I still haven't read that comic. But I really enjoy the film.
Wanted comic, my favorite book of all time. That's my favorite miniseries of all time. I love that book.
No, it's really good. It's Mark is just an amazing writer, and I think he really went to town on that one. So it's definitely one of my favorite books in our library.
Even like Old Man Logan, I can see he took a lot of Wanted from that and when he made Old Man Logan. Like, that's how go ahead.
I never read that, so yeah, no, I didn't read that, so I can't comment.
I get you. I just noticed a lot of it in it. So yeah, go ahead, Factor. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, man, ask a question.
I was just going to ask Matt about the Top Cow talent search and what were the guidelines and stuff this year. Let everybody know, because I was thinking about doing it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, the guidelines are posted. We do that sort of in conjunction with comicbookresources.com. So all the guidelines and the PDFs you can download to read the rules and instructions and the submission form are all on that link on cbr.com. If you just Google Top Cow Talent Hunt 2017, it'll pop right up to that link. It's the first one. And essentially, if you're a writer or an artist, you submit a story based on whatever your universe. This year, we're working in the Edenverse, so it's Postal, Think Tank, Tithe. If any of those, you write a story. If you're a writer, you write a story set in that universe, and ideally you do something that doesn't affect continuity, that's sort of a self-contained story. I've read a lot of these. All the rules, we've done this 5 times. This is the 5th time we've done it. So I've been able to see 5 years worth of people that have done things that I knew and they didn't win and why. And some people wrote good stuff, but they wrote it and they didn't really pay attention or listen, because I've always said, in this, you got to understand, we work months and months and months ahead. So if you're writing something that dramatically affects continuity, or, you're writing something that's very open-ended, we can't really use it, and I say that in the rules very clearly. Don't do something that kills a character, or don't do something that is like the first part. See, one of the things people do is they'll think that, oh, I'm going to write this thing and they're going to love it, and I'm writing it as part one of my 100-issue epic opus, and that will then, if they're going to love it so much, it'll force them to publish all 100 issues of my book, and it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. So this is an opportunity for people to get published by a real publisher, get a book out into comic book stores nationwide. It'll be on Comixology and Amazon, and get some attention. You have a book, because when you're trying to submit as a writer or an artist, it's very difficult to do it if you're not already published, which might seem counterintuitive, but the best thing you can send someone as a submission when you're looking for work is an actually published piece of work. Because as a publisher, and this is, I put my publisher hat on because I create and write too, but as a publisher, you're always looking for books that will actually sell. And so if you have someone that's already published, or someone that has a large social media following, or someone that has a podcast, has a voice like you guys do, then then suddenly that person is much more interesting to me, because they have a possible fan base of people that will buy their books. What I have learned in my long career in comics is it's very difficult to sell stuff based on people that no one's ever heard of. And even if it's good, I can't tell you how many really good comics I've read in the last 25 years that were written by people that were good writers, and they never got any traction and they gave up. That happens all the time. Probably happens in film and TV too. Comics is one of those businesses where the only way to make it to be a writer is to write multiple books a month and to keep out into the market and stay in people's spaces all the time. It's not as easy as people seem to think it is. The one thing that always kind of blows my mind is I've met so many people that just like, oh, I could write comics. I read comics and they're, this comic's crap. I could do a better job than that. And I'm like, and I always tell people, I said, how many people do you think are actually in the comic book industry that write comics on a regular basis? The answer to that's about 250, maybe 300. And I always say there's 900 people that play basketball in the NBA.
Damn.
So, you're talking about, you're just, do you think just because you're an amateur basketball player that you can go play in the NBA? I don't know. It's always a weird thing when people sort of have that kind of attitude,
I agree.
It's
it
funny.
Is possible. By the way,
It's funny that you say that though, Matt, is because I think, the Smash Bros. And myself, we're musicians, we all rap, and I think you see a lot of the same thing in the underground community as well. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, I was saying the best way to break into comics today is just to publish something. It's to self-publish and give it away for free, whether or whatever it would be. Build up a following, because I've found talent recently on Kickstarter. I've discovered people that I want to work with because they've, suddenly there'll be some creator that's publishing something through Kickstarter and they raise $60,000. And I'm like, okay, who is this person? I've never heard of them. And the last 10 times that's happened, I've gone back and looked it up, and it's someone that had a webcomic. They put it up for free 2-3 times a week, whatever, a page or a panel. They did it for several years. They built a large fan following. And then they asked that fan following, hey, help me put my dream of putting this into print, and you get a copy of it in print. They raise a bunch of money, and then many of these people get launched into comics. It's how several people have done it.
I know, it's my
Sage really sort of blew up.
It's my plan with this radio, Matt. Would you stop telling people?
Sorry, man.
Well, since you brought it up, I was going to ask you about Kickstarter, because I remember I was trying to do an Archie one, and they ended up canceling it because they got such bad feedback, because they didn't think a big company should be able to put out a Kickstarter. And I know you guys put out the Cyberforce Kickstarter, and I think it's a great idea, so I don't see what the problem is, but I just wanted to know what you thought about Kickstarter in general.
Well, here's the thing about crowdfunding. The people that are going to bitch at you about doing crowdfunding on as a publisher are small fans that want to do it themselves. I've never heard anyone that weren't other creators trying to kickstart themselves that bitched at us about us doing Kickstarters. They don't like it that we're taking attention away from or we launched ours in the same window that they launched theirs. And to me, I just kind of say whatever. This is another distribution platform. It's usable by anyone. We're not breaking any of the platform's rules or regulations. We're not breaking the spirit of it either, or they wouldn't let us do it. These are crowdfunding programs. There are people that buy things on Kickstarter and Indiegogo that don't buy stuff through Amazon or through the comic book stores in publishing, and they chip in. We have a set number of fans. I think we had 1,200 on Cyberforce. We have about 600 on the more recent one we did, and You know, these people only buy these books a lot of times on Kickstarter through these other platforms. So I'm following kind of my age-old belief that you have to go where the people are, you know? I mean, unless you're like an A-list star that people are going to flock to, you need to go where they are and convince them that they should look at your stuff. And one of those platforms is the new distribution platform that's crowdfunding.
I think it's cool because you also get you might have some input in the actual comic, or you might get some art from it. I think it's a cool concept. You know, the more you get into it, the bigger it can become. So I was just curious because, like I said, the Archie comic people, they tried to put out a Kickstarter and then they got such a backlash that they took it down. I was just like, I thought it was crazy myself, but.
Well, I also think it depends on what you're doing. I mean, for us, when we do these Kickstarters, we try to make it at least direct market friendly. Their backlash came from the comic book retail community. Ours never did. Ours came from other creators who bitched at us about doing crowdfunding that they did. I only had a few retailers talk to me about it, and for the most part, they just want to have access to the same material. And so with Golgotha, which is the one we just closed a couple months ago, and Cyberforce, you know, we made all the same material available. It wasn't exclusive to the Kickstarter platform. You know, we just did it in a way where it was became like there's a variant cover edition that's available to Kickstarter people, and then we'll put it out through the regular direct market. So if you allow the comic book stores to compete fairly with the same access to material, then they usually don't have a problem with it. I think the Archie thing was trying to circumvent the direct market, and that pisses retailers off.
I get you.
So what's your opinion, man, on what the whole, like just the internet has done to the market as a whole? Because, I mean, I see people reading digital comics, and that fucks with me. I want paper in my hand, first off, like right off the bat. That's just how I am. And then you got the fact that, you know, everybody's getting them online from online sources and not going to comic book stores. What do you think that is done to the comic book community as a whole?
I personally believe it's expanded it dramatically. I think it's been tremendously beneficial and helpful overall to our awareness, allowing different types of creators and stories to achieve prominence. There are books that do very well on Comixology through digital platforms that do not do well in the traditional direct market. There's a book called Sunstone that we publish that has not done very well in the direct market through comic book stores. I mean, it's about two lesbian chicks. There's hardcore sex in it that are S&M with each other. So, but it's a slice of life romantic story, and it's got a heart to it, and it does really well on Amazon and digitally. And so you have to kind of, again, it goes back to that thing where you have to go to where the platforms are. And the reality of what we're dealing with now is there's about 2,000 comic book stores in North America in the English market, 2,000. When I started in 1993, there were about 15,000. So we're dealing with a significant decline in the number of comic book brick and mortar retail stores over the last 25 years. And, you know, you've seen an ascension of various different types of business platforms. You know, in the 90s, Top Cow didn't publish trade paperbacks at all. You know, I mean, we didn't put out trade paperbacks. No one. I mean, it was DC that really started kicking all that off. You know, and now, excuse me, I'm selling more copies of books like Think Tank and Postal through trades than I am through the direct market. You know, the Think Tank issue 1, volume 1, I sold, I think, 5,000 copies of that book. I'm in my third printing of Think Tank in the trade paperback, and that's a little over 20-some thousand. You know, so I've sold a little over 20,000 copies of the trade paperback. I sold 5,000 copies of the very first issue. You know, wow. So, and most of that, a lot of that goes through goes through Diamond into Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So, it's a nickel and dime business, and you have to hit every platform, and you have to figure out how to monetize your work and figure out how to survive. You know, I mean, the truth is outside of a handful of creators in Marvel and DC and some licensed books, it's very difficult to get traction in the direct market, to get comic book retailers to pay attention to you. And so you have to hustle. You know, I sold probably 1/3 of the books I've written in the last 12 months myself at conventions to fans directly. And, you know, I'm at a convention almost once or twice every month. You know, I'm in comic book stores 2 or 3 times a month, you know, promoting my work. It's very much a hustle game. And, you know, that's the way you got to do it if you want to survive.
See, I think it amazes me the farther we get into this and the more individuals we interview in this particular industry, how much I find it similar to the music industry as far as, I mean, it's really about hustle. You know, I wouldn't have thought there would have been so many similarities between those two industries, man. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think it's very similar. I think all entertainment is very similar, and I think it's become this way for several reasons. One, a comic book is not a very good value for your entertainment dollar. You know, if you think about it, a $4 comic, and I'll make the comparison back to music in a second. Let me just roll with me for 1 second. If you spend $4 on a comic book that you buy, a 32-page book with 20 pages of story and art, you're going to read that story in 5 minutes, and chances are you'll stick it in a bag and board, and you'll never look at it again, and you'll never think about it again. That's not, to me, a very good value for your entertainment dollar. You buy a novel, it'll take you 12 to 14 to 18 hours to read it. You go see a movie, it's 2 hours. You know, you might not have anything left over, but you know, just in terms of the entertainment value per dollar, it's not the greatest value, which is why it's so hard to get people to try new books. So having said that, I think the similarity between comic publishing business and music really is that you have to give shit away for free to get them to try it. You know, you really have to get people to sample stuff. You know, unless you're Jay-Z with 444 or whatever the fuck he's calling his album, you know, it's like, you know, there's no pre-existing audience waiting for your new thing if they don't know who you are. You know, I mean, you might get some radio play, you might get that, but even that kind of stuff, you know, it's very corporate. Radio play and stuff like that is that's a hard game. So the same thing with publishing in comics. You know, how do you get on the rack at Marvel, and you know, how do you get on the rack at a comic book store? Well, if you're buried in the back of the previews catalog, no one's ever heard of you or your project. 95% of the stores aren't going to order the book at all. You know, so, you know, I mean, the other big difference between comics now and comics when I started was there's about 2,000 books published a month between comics and graphic novels every month. You know, when I started, there was maybe 350, you know, so the volume, so imagine that we have, what is that, 5 times the volume, 6 times the volume, and we have 1/10 of the retail base. So how does that, you know, I mean, it's sort of one of those quandaries to kind of figure out. But so, in my opinion, part of the reason why, again, back to the music thing, is I give a lot of books away. If you go to topcow.com, the lower right-hand corner, there's like 50 free books there. They're all first issues. Some of them are first volumes for when we have multiple volumes of books. And the idea being, every day will link 1 or 2 of those up on Twitter, and every day we get 10, 15, 20 downloads of people checking it out, you know. And then there's no direct way to correlate, you know, that to further sales. At least we're not sophisticated enough to do that. But the basic idea is sampling gives at least someone an opportunity to find something they like. You know, if they never read it, they never have it put in their hands, they never see it on their iPad or on their phone, they're never going to think about it, you know? And the problem with so much stuff now is we live in a real-time sort of streaming world. You know, it's out of sight, out of mind. You know, if you send like a Twitter ad and someone says, oh, I want to check this out, but then they don't see it again, and they don't see that book anywhere where they can easily access or buy it, they're not going to buy it, even though they would have bought it if there was some sort of call to action or immediate place where they could buy it at that point. So that's why, you know, sort of real time, and that's one of the advantages of digital, is if someone says, oh, I want to check this out, you make it immediately available, you know?
Hell yeah. That's exactly what happened with I have an MMA fighter buddy, and he was trying to get into comics, and I told him about your stuff, and I sent him the link to like Think Tank, and he really enjoyed that book, you know? And that's kind of what we do, is try to promote everybody's stuff so everybody can check it out.
Hell yeah.
That's how you get.
No, hell yeah. No,
well, that's how you do it.
Oh, yeah, because, no, it's like you were saying, though, Hawkins, you know, because that radio play, it can be hard to get by. So, I don't give a fuck. I said, fuck it. This is no fucks given radio. Going that anti-hero style. I'll make this shit myself. This is Anti-Hero by myself, The Unknown Factor, featuring one of the co-hosts, DKB, and Tune. Yeah, we'll be right back.
The fuck is wrong with you, Matt? You'd rather die for some piece of shit that you don't even fucking know?
And 3 assholes laying into one guy while everybody else watches? And you wanna know what's wrong with me? Yeah, I'd rather die. So bring it on! Anti-hero. Like to play it like we. Anti-hero. Fuck that man, I got the key. Anti-hero. Superman is a little bitch. Anti-hero. Play the middle, don't be bitch. Anti-hero. Like to play it like we. Anti-hero. Fuck that man, I got the key. Anti-hero. Superman is a little bitch. Anti-hero. Play the middle, don't be bitch.
Blasting this world, Jesus is a hero. Too complicated.
this fucking cat and mouse. Don't need a cell, just shallow grave. Truly no one cares for the depraved. Just listen, like I was Jesse Custer, jump off a cliff one after another. Cause bitch, I am the law, and in injustice gives my dick hard. Can't help it that I come so heartless. Against the shadow I chose the darkness.
Hey, social worker, fuck you.
Hi, gang.
Guess who I am? Guess!
No, that's nothing.
Did you see that?
Well, you care, you're not gonna cover it anyway.
I'm T.K.C. Brennan. I'm a writer for the Warren Comics Creepiary in Vampirella. They're available at archive editions now.
The mind link function will pick up your vibe.
Okay, well, then we did it then.
Booyah.
Zoinks! Like this is spooky!
Tell them to look me up on Wikipedia. T.K.C. Brennan, B-R-E-N-N-A-N.
Right, now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
When, now?
Oh my. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh!
Barnes & Noble has Creeps number 10, which is a new comic book that has my story in the comic and my name on the cover.
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
I'm a star at No Fucks Given Radio, for sure. T.K.C. Brennan, and
I am Audi 5000. Ciao.
Yeah, because we're back. That's right. No Fucks Given Radio, that official radio for those who don't give a fuck. Yeah, and this is Supah Nerd-tendo. I'm your host, The Unknown Factor. Got Race Access Cash chilling.
What up, what up?
Yeah, Mr. DKB. He's going to take that next question. What's up, mister?
Fuck up.
Well, I guess he's not going to take that question. But I guess we'll fucking just have to go to Matt Hawkins. Yeah, from Top Cow Productions. That's what the fuck's going on today. Supah Nerd-tendo, that SNT. Don't fucking forget. No Fucks Given Radio. Yeah. I'll be getting into a couple things with you, Matt, man. Now, as far as movies, you know, all the shit with the comic book industry, how you feel about it. The thing I'm curious about, what do you think of, and man, if I'm fucking hitting a sore spot here and you just want to be like, fuck you, Factor, that's fine. I'm sorry. But what do you think of the success that, like, Marvel's having and the problems DC's having trying to get their respective movie universes off the ground?
No, I love it. I mean, anytime there's a film that comes out that's a comic book movie, it gives the rest of us an opportunity. I mean, actually, I know overall Marvel's had more success than DC on the film side, but Wonder Woman's most recent success has been very advantageous for us because we have a number of strong female lead characters, including Sarah Pasolini and Witchblade, that I think we can get into development again, at least somewhere. And so, you know, that anytime there is a successful film that comes out from Marvel or DC or anyone really, and it's linked to a comic book, that's good for the entire industry, you know. And although I think Marvel has clearly had more success on the critical side, I mean, if you actually compare box office to box office, DC's really not that far behind.
Yeah, and I actually have heard excellent things about Wonder Woman. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear more about Wonder Woman, hang out, I believe, tonight at midnight. We've got Critical Thinking. They'll be talking a bit more about Wonder Woman in depth later on. But again, that's tonight at midnight on No Fucks Given Radio, Critical Thinking. But, yeah, this is Supah Nerd-tendo. So, man, DKB didn't want to ask shit, Racer. How about you?
Just, I don't really have a specific question, but you were at Denver Comic Con last week, so how was that? And what do you got lined up coming up?
Denver was great. I mean, Denver is one of those comic book markets that's very pro-comic and very pro-comic creators. So as a show, that's one of the more successful shows that we do. I generally do not big giant shows. San Diego Comic Con is in 3 weeks, but that's one of my least favorite shows to do because 98% of the people that will walk by my booth have no interest in what I do or would have zero interest in buying a comic from anyone. So there we go. Just some of these big pop culture media events are so diversified now with their fan groups and fan bases that there's only a very small percentage of people that, you know, and it's so spread out that it's very distracting. So a show like Denver Comic Con I like quite a bit because it has more of a hardcore comic base and allows us to actually give away a lot of free books. Like I said, I believe in sampling, and one of the things I do at shows is I give away a printed copy of one of my books to anyone that wants to take it. And I do that basically as sort of a sales technique where, especially on Fridays, if I see people with 3-day badges, I'll give it to them and say, hey, you're going to get stuck in a line, read the fucking thing, and come back and tell me what you think. And it works. No, because people come back and they buy the book then because they've crossed that barrier. I always look at it compared to, like, you know, hitting on a girl at a bar. Once you get past that initial icy barrier, it becomes much easier to talk to the person, you know. And so this weekend I'm in Canada. I do there's a thing called TennoCon in London, Ontario. TennoCon is the Digital Extremes convention for their Warframe video game. It's kind of like how Blizzard does BlizzCon, you know, for World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and stuff like that. This is their version of it. Warframe is a huge game, has 20 million people that play it, and it's based in, it's like it's an Xbox 360 PlayStation 1 game that is free to play. It's kind of like a freemium app, but it's on the next-gen consoles. And you can download the game and check it out. It's got next-gen graphics. It's a really fun game. They hired us to write a comic book around it. I wrote an issue of it that's coming out, and it's a free book. It's called Warframe, and we'll be debuting it this Saturday in Canada. And I'll be on Twitch TV with those guys promoting it on all their streams as well. So excited about that. Do what?
Yeah, it's a really good game. I've played it a few times.
Well, the comic's free. You'll be able to read it digitally if you want to read it. They did it more as a marketing thing, and you know, it is a fun game, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, and I'm excited to go up and meet their sort of hardcore fan base. And then it's Comic-Con for me, San Diego, and then I've got some show in Boston, and then who knows where I'm at after that. I think Tucson, and I have a show in Greece, Athens Con. No, I try to do 2 international shows a year. I usually do the ones where my wife wants to go hang out and, you know, check out the local scenery. Like we did Cape Town, South Africa, and Cuba this year so far. So we were down in Havana a couple months ago, and down in Cape Town, South Africa, about 3 months ago. So, you know, that's the one nice thing about Top Cow is we publish our books in 21 languages. So we have a global deal with Panini, which is one of the biggest publishers in the world, and they handle all of our international publications. And so since I've been writing so many books, I'm getting a lot of invites to these shows now, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I've even got a copy of I've even got a copy of Rising Stars, #1 in German, actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah, that's Flitter, right?
Yeah. Fucking. Yeah, it was my brother was over in Austria, so yeah, he just picked it up because, you know, he's in that fucking country. He knew I was into that shit. So yeah, it's a dope little fucking thing to have, though, man. So I'm curious then, I mean, you guys publish in a lot of different languages. What was the setup and made you guys want to do that so much, as far as just to make sure to have it in that? I mean, what was the process of finding someone that was willing to fucking do that? I mean, because that's got to be a pain in the ass. There's a lot of translation.
Yeah, we don't do any of that. It's just we license to a foreign publisher that localizes it and publishes it. So it's nothing for us. It's just a money deal. I mean, and then they send us copies of the books, and I get invited to go to international shows. So we actually have to do nothing. And we send them the books, and they have translators. So in essence, we're making a deal with a foreign publisher. You know, like Dark Horse puts out Japanese anime books in English. They're doing the same thing for Japan that these other companies do for us. You know, we'll sell them the rights to whatever book it is, and then they have their local translators translate it.
All right, now,
right on.
I'm curious, the deal you guys have with them, is that like do they only take certain books, or is that just like, hey, you get what the fuck we publish?
Well, we have a global deal, but it's the global deal, so they have the rights. Panini has the rights to do any of the books that we produce, but they do cherry pick which ones they want. You know, so they'll only do certain books. And like for an example, my book, I do Symmetry, is a really good international seller for us. And Aphrodite 9 was a really, really good international seller, and so was Sunstone. But some of the other books I do, like Think Tank and The Tithe, have not done well internationally. And they've, in most cases, like Think Tank hasn't been published really anywhere but in English. And the reason is because Think Tank is sort of a glorification of the American military-industrial complex. And other countries don't want to read about that. You know what I mean? So it's like it depends on a lot of times it's content. You know, so Sunstone is our most successful international book. You know, everybody likes sex.
Yeah, you'd fucking cause a goddamn World War III with Think Tank. The wrong fucking jackass got a hold of it and took it the wrong way. Are you shitting me? Like some fucking. Oh, Jesus. No, you have some extremist get a hold of it and take it to the extreme. Suddenly, Matt Hawkins works for the CIA. Yeah, suddenly, Jesus Christ.
Right. No, I mean, the thing with Think Tank is all the science is legit. It's all based on real weapon systems, and a lot of the stuff I reference in the back. And so it has not done, like I said, a lot of the international publishers don't want to play with that book. But they like the ones with the pretty girls and the good stories, and so that stuff always does well internationally. And also, the one thing that a lot of the international publications are less interested in violent content. You know, like a book like Postal, which is doing really well in the United States, which actually we've sold to Hulu to be a Hulu original, does really well for us. But it's an incredibly violent book, and so there's a lot of countries around the world that will not pick it up because of the violence. So it's hit or miss, you know. And sometimes we'll do books, and I'll do projects that I know will do better based on the international marketplace.
Oh yeah, hey, can I say that's dope because I know we went into movies in a bit earlier. I like to see that you guys are taking advantage of the fucking, you know, going straight to streaming like that, and you guys got a streaming deal through Hulu and are gonna break something out. That's fucking nice, man. Yeah, I look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, Postal is a fun book, and I think that will definitely help. And that Postal ties in directly. There is a little universe. I tend to write books and create stuff in groups of 3 or 4. So, like. You know, Postal, Think Tank, and The Tithe all take place in the same universe, and those characters sort of cross over in events. And we even put a trade out called Eden's Fall, which was sort of the storyline that connected them all together. So we definitely try to cross-promote them. And the nice thing about that is I don't think we'll have another situation like Wanted where there's just a one-off book that comes out and we're not able to really properly, you know, monetize or promote. Now, you know, if a Postal TV show gets made, we'll be able to you know, really do more stuff with Think Tank, do more stuff with The Tithe, you know, Samaritan, and other things that we can do to really sort of get those books out into the public eye.
Hell yeah, man. Well, look, I just want to say, everybody fucking check out Postal because I want that shit to do really well because I want Hulu to be like, hey, we want a Think Tank show. Because I want a fucking Think Tank show.
Awesome. Yeah, me too, man. I mean, Think Tank is probably of all the books I do, it probably is the worst seller of all of them for the most part. But it's my favorite book. It's like a passion project. So that's pretty common too. I've run into a lot of creators where the favorite book they work on is not one that actually makes them a ton of money. It's more, it might get them a lot of critical acclaim, but it doesn't actually make them money.
I've only heard nothing but great things about that book, which I've read a few issues, but like I've never even heard anything bad about it. That's crazy to believe selling because it's such a high-praised book.
Well, but the thing is, it's like, you know, these Academy Award-winning films. How many of them do you actually watch? You know, I mean, a lot of them are, you know, it's, you know, what I mean, so I mean, you hear a lot of real positive things about stuff, and sometimes it's too artsy-fartsy or it's too, you know, indie, too. But Think Tank is more like a Tom Clancy novel than a comic book, you know. And I've talked, and I've been working on a novelization on some of my own work to sort of try to get into that marketplace a little more, but. No, it's not an easy book to read if you don't have, you know, a modicum of brain power because there's a lot of heady stuff in there. It's not just people smacking each other. You know, it's not Hulk smash. It's there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think if you're not into that, then it might seem like it's boring. You know, so the people that love that book, they love it, and it has sort of a hardcore fan base, and they've been very supportive of me. And that fan base extends to scientists, military people. There's an Army general that I talk to fairly regularly who reads the books and gives me feedback. And when I ask him questions, he works for, you know, working out of the Pentagon, you know. And several top scientists, I sort of keep as friends and talk to them on Twitter, and they read the book and give me some feedback. So I become kind of the mascot a little bit of that community.
Very cool.
Oh,
yeah, I like how authentic it is. That's what I like a lot about it.
Yeah, that's for me. It's also the hardest book to write. It's actually what I'm writing today and yesterday, and I'll be writing tomorrow. I'm writing the 4th issue of Think Tank Animal, and I'll be finishing that up, and that'll wrap up volume 5 of Think Tank. But it takes me the most time to write. It's a hard book to write. It's not an easy book to write, and I try to, you know, I put a lot of effort into it. You know, I mean, certain things are a lot easier to write. Like writing, I always tell people it's easy to write an issue of Spider-Man because you don't have to explain to anyone who Spider-Man is. You don't have to explain the powers. You know, everyone kind of knows who these characters are and their basic origins. You can just tell a story. You know, a lot of times when you're dealing with developing and writing creator-owned material, you have to spend so much time setting up the world, the situations, that it's actually much harder to do. I've always had more respect for people that write really good original material than people who just come in and do a nice run on Spider-Man or something.
See, and man, especially with a comic like Think Tank, with what you're saying, I mean, there's so much to explain with the fucking tech that you've got used in that. I mean, Jesus, man, you've got to use at least a good paragraph to explain every trick that Lorne pulls out of his pocket.
That's what he does at the end of the book.
Yeah, and
breaks it down.
Yeah, I do that.
That's not a paragraph.
And I do that.
It's a half a book at the end of the book you put there, Matt. Holy shit.
Well, I do that so I don't bog down the main story. Because like you talked about, if I try to explain a lot of the concepts in the body of the comic book, it would really slow it down. So and people now know my work well enough that they know I do that. So if they see something that, oh, that's interesting, I wonder what the story behind that sort of technology is, they know at the end of the book they'll be able to read about it.
What inspires you to do that, man? I'm curious. Like, what made you be like, I'm gonna fucking write Think Tank? Because there's obviously a lot of heavy issues in that are a lot of the reason we're hated as a country. You know, what the fuck made you have the balls to be like, I'm gonna put it in a comic?
Well, I think it's just those are the kind of stories that I gravitate to and I like to tell. You know, I've been in the storytelling business for 25 years now, and I've seen a lot of different types of stories told. You know, when we talked earlier a little bit about how you can write a book and you can read a comic book and read it in 5 minutes and never think about it again. I've tried very hard to write and develop content that does the exact opposite. Not just does it take you 20, 30 minutes to get through one of my books, but there's also hours and hours of peripheral stuff you can look into if you're curious. And on top of that, I try to, weave in. I try to make stuff funny. I try to make it interesting. But I also try to weave in certain things that make people think and challenge maybe basic precepts and concepts that people have. I think in sort of this crazily bifurcated world that we live in, where everyone's either right wing or left wing, people tend to believe what they believe and don't like to be challenged. So I like to put forth scenarios that might make people think a little differently. And I think one of the things that's made me a much happier guy as I get older is I don't always think that I'm correct. And I think that that's actually a rare quality. You know, I'm willing to find out that I'm wrong, and I'm willing to change my opinion. You know, I think we give politicians endless shit for flip-flopping on what they stand. But for me, I always look at it and say, look, if you had a thought and then you went out and did some research on it and you talked to a bunch of people and then you changed your opinion based on what you learned, that to me is not a flip-flopper. That's an intelligent person that is a reasonable, rational individual that is willing to change given information that's provided to them. You know, we live in a world now where people believe what they believe and they refuse to hear anything or talk to anyone that actually disagrees with them whatsoever. And you have news sources and cable outlets that provide news for you if you're on the left. You have other people that have news for you on the right, and each of them calls the other one fake news. You know, so I'm very disturbed about the state of everything in this world, and I have 2 teenage sons, and I'm very curious to see what sort of world they're going to live in 30 years from now, you know? Because in 30 years, I'm not going to give a fuck. I'm going to be sitting on the beach somewhere.
Matt, that's kind of terrible. You have 2 teenage sons. You should at least sort of care about the world they're going to live in. Come on now. At least a little.
No, I do, but by then, I do care. You know, like I said, my sons are 16 and 15 now, and I care a lot, you know? But like I said, in 30 years, they're going to be 46 and 45. I might not even be alive. You know, there's going to be far less. Once you're in your 40s, you know, I'm 47, you know, and it's there's not much my parents can really do for me now in my life. My life is pretty much my own, you know. I look at some of these people where they're still like in their late 30s and they live with their parents, and I kind of like, really? You know, and I'm like, whatever, I guess to each their own, and I'm not going to judge anyone for that. But I moved out when I was 17 and I never looked back, you know, and I just can't. Some of these people that live with their parents their whole lives is kind of crazy to me. Personal preference.
We're in a millennial society nowadays.
Well, and I think some of it's economic and some of it's, racial. Because I do know, my wife is Asian, and I've met a lot of Asians that their children tend to stay living with their parents a lot longer. But that's more of a cultural thing, and that's accepted. And they do that because the children are saving money and working and saving money so they can buy and move into a house. That's why the Asians do it. They don't do it because they're unemployed in their basement smoking pot, playing Counter-Strike. So it's
Hey, it was World of Warcraft. I'm just kidding. I'm married and live with my wife. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
If you can get away with it, dude, more power to you. You know,
No, dude, wait, no.
You know, it's the kind
like,
of thing
don't get me killed, Matt. I'm for real sitting next to my wife in the studio right now. I do not live with my fucking parents. No, I live with my lovely, beautiful, I love my wife, Shell. She fucking holds it down for No Fucks Given Radio like y'all don't even know, ladies and gentlemen out there. But yeah, no, I was just kidding. I don't even fucking like World of Warcraft. Jesus Christ. No, I actually fully agree with you on that. I don't see... But I mean, it is kind of a millennial thing. I don't know, man. The world's changing so goddamn much. It's kind of worrisome. Like I said, you got news for the left, news for the fucking right, you know. And that's why, you know, over here, like I said, we got several different shows. We got Supah Nerd-tendo, where we, you know, bring on dope ass guests like Matt Hawkins from Top Cow. And then we got that no bullshit zone. Because goddamn it, sometimes you gotta break the fucking world down. No bullshit. Yeah, Frank Nitty, Project Born, motherfucking Poke D, yeah, myself, the Unknown Factor. We let it do what it do over there. And this is Do What It Do by Project Born. We'll be right back, y'all.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension.
Bitch! I gotta get the fuck out of there. And my reason for this...
No, we don't want no bullshit around us. No bullshit around us. No bullshit around us.
You've got Poke Nitty from Project Born and the Unknown Factor in the house on the No Bullshit Zone.
Whatever you say it is how it is, but I think a blind man can see that.
We get it in every motherfucking fourth Monday, 9 p.m. on NoFucksGivenRadio.com.
Break the cycle, rise above, focus on science.
Shit, don't you want to with it?
I don't want the drink.
He doesn't want the drink.
He does. I don't. You do. I don't. You do. I don't. You do. I don't. You don't. I do. You don't. I do. You don't. Listen.
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
In the No Bullshit Zone. Ain't no motherfucking forgiving with the Unknown Factor. Me and this bitch. Project Born for life. Representing.
We're live. We're back. Supah Nerd-tendo. That's right. No fucks given hour. And yo, this shit ain't about that guy we was talking about. This shit is about Matt Hawkins. Yeah, Top Cow Productions. That's what we're doing today. Yeah, you know. So we still chopping it up. But man, Racer, you didn't write a whole fucking thing like you did last time for this thing like you did the time before. And what the fuck's up with that?
I don't know.
Why didn't you write some shit?
Yeah, you never reminded me. I don't know. 'Cause, I don't know.
Wait. No.
Bro.
Hold on. Hold the fuck.
What?
And DKB, come on. DKB, back me the fuck up. Isn't this the man that said he remembers everything?
I didn't actually forget. You just never brought it up again, so go fuck yourself, I guess. I don't know.
That's just rude.
I could have wrote one. Well, what the fuck? How about you bring this shit up not on air?
Well,
you always bring this shit up on air.
It's No Fucks Given Radio, man. I mean, and
Right
no,
on. I don't care. Let's get this going, though.
Yeah, because, you know, we got this verses, and I couldn't find my goddamn fucking... I got a notebook because we're doing this little thing, and we're going to do this little thing. We'll get fucking into that shit later, but I ain't got that shit handy. I should have went and grabbed that while we were on break, guys. But I didn't, so fuck it. Yeah, so I don't know what the past ones were. I know a couple of them. I know we got Hilton Perez going to end up having to fight Arseface next month. I don't give a fuck what his name was. He should have showed up for his interview, right? See, Matt Hawkins showed up for his interview. Matt Hawkins, have you enjoyed your interview?
I have. It's been fantastic.
See, he's enjoyed his interview. That fucking fuckwad from before should have showed up from his fucking interview, and there wouldn't be. Now he has to fight Arseface. All right, that's his fucking punishment. That's the end of it. Not you, Matt, a gentleman that didn't show up on a previous episode. But that's besides the point, man. But the other point I'm getting to is we like to do a little, verses around here. Throw a couple motherfuckers in a room and see who we all think is going to walk out and fucking who's going to end up on the floor, right? And since, it's Think Tank, and you got Dr. Lauren up in that bitch, right? I mean, we had to throw a Doctor Who up against it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I know who'd win that.
So, wait. Oh, so we're based on your reaction, Matt. I want to save your answer for a moment, right? I want to ask Racer, who you think got it?
I think David Lauren got it.
David Lauren?
I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, and I think he'd take him. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Now, how so? I'm curious.
I agree. But
oh wait,
he could create any fucking weapon he'd want to.
Okay, so DKB, you agree? All right, and honestly, I agree as well. Now, real quick, Matt, before we get to you, babe, who do you think would win this fight? Huh? Here, let me turn the mic for you.
I don't know anything about the other guy, but Doctor Who would totally win. Number one, he's an alien with 2 hearts. He has a magic screwdriver, and he has a
on the run from
TARDIS.
his own people. If he's on the run from his own people, what makes you think he'd beat fucking
He's from
David
the run.
Lauren?
He's on the run from his own people. What makes you think he would beat David Lauren?
He died quite a few times.
Those people deserve
And he does.
that.
He has died quite a few times. So Matt, what do you think? Does Dr. David Lauren take out Doctor Who?
I think your wife's correct. No, David Lauren, if you're talking just a straight up fight club fight, he'd get his ass kicked. He's a brainiac kind of guy that would. I've actually had him get hit once in the book, and so we've sort of showed that he's not a manly man, if you want to say that. Now, if you had a situation where he was able to use his intellect, it might be a little more interesting. Like if there were traps or things that they could use. But I haven't watched a lot of Doctor Who, but I believe he is some sort of a scientist, time lord, or something like that. So I'm pretty sure.
Well, no. See, the thing with Doctor Who though is he's a
That's
time
the
lord,
rumors.
and he's also a character who very much uses his wit to get out of situations. He's not a character that uses any kind of brute force. I've never really known the Doctor to use brute force. Have you?
No.
Yeah, no. He's a character that uses his wit and scientific skill. He just uses it on a science fiction level, and that's the thing. And this is why I personally think that Lauren would win as opposed to Who, because I think Doctor Who would give that motherfucker one chance, to be like, no, don't do this. And David Lauren would go, oh, so I got to kill this motherfucker now or he's going to kill me. And he would kill that motherfucker, 2 hearts or not.
He'll regenerate.
Yeah, he probably would.
See,
Lauren's killed a lot of people.
Now I got fucking Hawkins agreeing, like, yeah, no, he probably would just kill him. See, yeah. And my wife, he'll regenerate. Yeah, he regenerates. That motherfucker kills him again. He only regenerates so many fucking times. All right, wait.
I don't really watch Doctor Who. I don't know enough to know his power base. I always thought Doctor Who never just fights people.
No, man. He's like sonic screwdrivers and fucking... I mean, my wife's way more into it than I am. I mean, I've watched quite a bit. But no, I've never seen him.
Tried to watch it.
Yeah, if he was, if he was to get into any kind of contest with any kind of motherfucker that was a serious fighter, he's probably going to get his ass whooped just like Dr. David Lauren would. That's why I think it would be an interesting fight.
Right.
Yeah, because both them motherfuckers ain't going to want a fist fight. They're both going to want to try and use their wits. And then you've got the wit of a Time Lord who's got a magical screwdriver versus a dude that's like, I invent shit that kills people. That's what I do.
Right.
So.
No, I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the guy. So wait, so wait, who are you going with now, Hawkins? Then, because we got 3 votes for Dr. David Lauren, and we got 2 for Who initially. Are you switching your vote?
No, I'm gonna stay with Who.
He's staying with Who? Well, you still fucking lose, but technically you win at the same time because that's your character. So Dr. David Lauren will be moving on within the contest. How you gonna lose and win at the same time? That's kind of interesting. And the wife booed that. See, but no, I don't think, because the wife doesn't know anything about Dr. David Lauren. You, Hawkins, don't know anything about Doctor Who. And I'm pretty sure DKB, myself, and Racer are pretty familiar with both characters. Right, guys?
Well, then,
your opinion weighs it. I don't watch it. I mean, just based on research.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Dr. David Lauren. All the fucking way.
You can fuck with the space
All day.
continuum.
Painfully.
You are golden.
If you can fuck
Thank
with
you, gentlemen. I appreciate you voting for my character.
I don't know. My wife's
We
still
appreciate your
fucking
character.
like the TARDIS trumps all. He would win. Blah blah blah. But no, Doctor Who is dead. Dr. David Lauren moved on within the contest.
Hello,
Matt.
Oh my, sorry, my headphones just died, so I lost you there for a second.
Man, we're known to kill shit over here. We really are, Matt. We really are. But hey,
You
man.
guys hear me okay now? I mean, or does it sound different?
No, you sound good, man. Sound clear. Yeah. But hey,
okay.
we got one more bit we'd like to get to. Yeah, that's our top 5, man. We do that shit every fucking show, except that one show we missed it because, you know, that one dude and yeah. Shout out to T. Casey, man, for that previous interview. But yeah, we just didn't get to the top 5 because he was getting into some crazy shit. Y'all should go check that shit out. That was our previous interview. But that's not what we're on. Like I said, we're on Matt Hawkins' top 5 top cow characters, right? Now, I'm curious to hear yours, Matt, because shit, you could offend some people.
One of my top 5 favorite Top Cow characters?
Yeah.
Jackie Estacado, a.k.a. the Darkness, Serpsy, the Witchblade. I like the Patience Magdalena, Aphrodite 9, and the 5th one's going to be the hard one. I'll take Dr. Lauren because that's just my favorite character that I write. So those, so you've got the big 4 Top Cow characters. You got Darkness, Witchblade, Aphrodite 9, and Magdalena. Think tank. Those would be my 5.
Damn. My list was actually it was actually almost way similar. And then I was like, no, I'm going to change that and that. But yeah. Because, damn, I'm glad I did too. My list would have been way too fucking similar to yours. Fuck that shit. I said wisp, whatever. I had a bit of a lisp on the word list. I can't help it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to spit. But whatever. Racer, what's your top 5 Top Cow?
Number 1, Darkness. Number 2, Witchblade. Number 3, Aphrodite 9. Number 4, The Killer from Wanted. And number 5, Necromancer.
Oh, yeah. I created that character. Cool. Thanks.
Right on.
Oh, that's dope. Man, DKB, what you got?
Number 1, Darkness. Number 2, Aphrodite 9. Number 3, Witchblade. Number 4, The Killer. And number 5, I'm going with Kill Wit.
All right. Real quick, because I just got to say, based on all the top 5s right here for these Top Cow characters, somebody needs to fund a goddamn Darkness film because number 1 is Jackie Escato, The Darkness, because hell yeah, that's the shit. That's fucking crazy. I love how everybody's like The Darkness. Where's the fuck? Yeah.
You know, it's funny too because when Mark created that character, Mark Silvestri, he sort of just created that character because he hated Superman, and that's why he created Jackie Estacado. Because he hated how perfect Superman was, and he wanted to create someone that was kind of the opposite, you know. And initially, they had the Darkness was leaning more towards vampirism, you know, where and then they sort of shifted it. Because if you look at it, there are some similarities to vampirism, but it was sort of changed, and the power that Jackie wields became more about creation, pure creation. And the Darklings, I think, are what really made that initial book fun.
Oh no, dude, I love. That was my favorite part of those, but especially when you'd fucking have the Darklings dressed up as other superheroes, like from totally different comic book universes. You got a fucking Wolverine Darkling, a fucking Robin Darkling. No, that shit, like, you just turn the page. You didn't even read anything. You'd start laughing your fucking ass off.
And what it was the fun we had with the Darklings were they were just manifestations of his id. So they were just basically pieces of his mind that were manifesting in reality, and that when you sort of look at it from that perspective, it made it more fun.
Oh yeah, that's dope to know too that Mark created that based on the fact that he fucking hates Superman. Cause dude, I fucking hate Superman, and I'll be real honest, my top fucking 2 comic book characters, cause I'd be really hard pressed to pick one out of these 2 are the Darkness and Evil Ernie, you know. And fucking, that's just dope to know he created that because he fucking shares my hatred of Superman. Shout out to Mark Silvestri on fuck Superman. Oh my god. Yeah, but hey.
Read the Darkness Superman crossover again.
Hey, man,
we've
look.
done that before.
Dude, they did fuck that. He should have won, though. I still say fucking Jackie should have won. Because shouldn't he have been able to create fucking Kryptonite?
Kryptonite?
Well, it's been a long time, and I can't remember who wrote that, Darkness Superman. It was Tyler Kirkham who did the art. We just republished that, and I should reread it, because it's about 15 years ago that came out, Darkness Superman, and it was, we put out a book. Actually, I think that book came out today. It's the 20th anniversary Darkness Collected Edition. It's got the reprinted for the first time Darkness Batman, which was pretty badass. Dark of Superman, and then the Origin volume of Jackie. That came out in the stores today, actually.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I definitely... Look, if you wanted to go check out just some dope, slightly dark and twisted fucking comic book, go pick that shit up, because, yeah, and there ain't nobody fucking paying me to say that. This is my personal recommendation, motherfuckers. But, hey, to the rest of them, because, like I said, my top 5. Number 1 is, it's got to be The Darkness. Number 2, and I ain't sucking your dick on this, Matt, it's Dr. David Lauren, though. I love that fucking character, you know? And then I got to go old school. Everybody pick Witchblade. I say Ian Nottingham. Yeah. That's what I say. Everybody wants to say Sarah. Everybody wants to leave him out, like whatever. And then everybody said the killer. I'm gonna say Wesley Gibson because, I mean, I know he was just the killer in the comic though, wasn't he? Because they didn't give him that name until the film, right?
What was that? Was the original killer?
His dad was no, he was still Wesley in the comic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was Wesley Gibson, but it was he was the son. It was the same. No, the film sort of in the comic parallel for about the first third, and then they veer off pretty radically.
That's pretty much what Razor was telling me. Yeah, and then man, for my final, and shout out to Michael Turner, may he rest in peace, all that shit. Is Aspen Matthews from Fathom, because that's
very cool.
Yeah, I love that character. It was really intricate. It was a really fucking well written story too, in my opinion. Yeah.
It's just 2 weeks ago that it was the 8th anniversary of his death, actually, of Mike's death.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad I got a chance to meet him at the Wizard World in Chicago, actually. It's been, that's been like 7, I don't know, it's been like a while ago. Fucking getting old.
It's been like 10 years, bro.
Yeah.
Interesting date correlation was his death coincided with the opening day of our Wanted film. Same day.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
So, kind of ruined the part of the excitement of getting our first film out there, you know.
Oh,
right.
God, man. Right. Well, hey, I'm glad to see you guys hook that shit up on Hulu, though. I'm looking forward to fucking seeing that, man. And I'm hoping you guys, I'm really hoping that shit does well and it continues to carry forward, because I'd like to see more fucking, you know what I'm saying? Some more video, like, look, before we go, fuck it, I did, man, wife said it again, and goddamn it, I've heard Witchblade so many times, we talked about this Darkness movie, I've got to bring it up, like, that fucking TV series, Matt, it sucked, I'm sorry, what the shit was that?
Which TV series?
The Witchblade one. The Witchblade one, and not the animated one. The animated one, that shit was dope, it was cool. I'm talking about the one where they make it look like that bitch had plate mail on.
Well, that was... that was sophisticated CGI for TV at the time. You know, if you look at the time frame for it. So
I for the budgets of what they were doing.
I mean, they tried. You know, it was not. And there's part of it was they didn't want the girl in a chainmail bikini. You know what I mean? Because so they were trying to desexualize it. I think is probably what was probably the primary intention of it. So, I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't. I liked it at the time, because it was his own thing. But the anime was fun too. But, that's fine.
I dug the anime, man. I don't know. It was just I was an avid fan of the Witchblade, and then I think it was TNT. If I'm correct, was where where that show dropped.
Yeah.
And I seen it, and she was in plate mail, and I was just fucking so discouraged. At the moment they put her in plate mail, I was like, look, I know that would be hard to do with the Witchblade, and I didn't expect it to look like the comic, because fuck, that's gonna require a budget to do both those powers, both the Darkness and the Witchblade, just because of what they are and how much is involved within it. So I didn't expect it to look like the comic, but dude, it was fucking plate mail. It killed me, Matt. It did.
Okay.
It's just, I'm sorry. And Matt's like, shut up about it, Factor. I don't want to fucking hear about it.
It's fine. You can not like it. I liked it for what it was. I was there. I had started working in Top Cow in April of 1998. Before there, I was at other Image companies. I've always been a part of Image Comics, but I started in April 98. I think that came on the air in June of 99 and ended in 2000. It lasted just those 2 seasons. So it was early, very early in my Top Cow career. I could see that. I know there was a lot of problem in development. It was originally Oliver Stone and his Illusion Entertainment that had taken it in and sold it. and then they kicked him off, and then brought in someone else. To each his own. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, sometimes like the second Jack Reacher movie that just came out, I thought was a piece of shit, but the first one I actually liked quite a bit. And I talked to my dad, who just hates that film because it doesn't correspond well enough to what what the original source material was, and so he doesn't like it. He can't see it as its own thing. He just sort of the source material has too much sway over him that he can't sort of evaluate it without that correlating into his decision making. So I get it. That's why it's important for us to try to not put things out that are property killing. The Witchblade TV show was actually, I understand that you don't like it and it's fine, but it was generally fairly well received. In fact, it has the austere privilege of being the highest rated TNT show ever to be canceled. And it was canceled because of some issues with the lead actress when she went into rehab. So ratings. In fact, I know the second season of Witchblade was outrating Buffy, at the time. And so we were very excited about having a nice long-running TV show, and it just didn't happen. Fates conspired against us.
Hey, but just look forward to the future, man, because now, like I see, you got that Hulu streaming Postal coming up. I am looking forward to that. I'm glad to hear about that, too. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you should check that out. Make sure you check it out so you get more shit visual from Top Cow. That's what we need. Because it doesn't, here's my thing. It doesn't need to be just Marvel and DC making fucking movies. That doesn't need to be the only comic book company out there having properties to that level, because there are way too many other great comic book companies, writers, and properties that aren't represented in that medium. In my opinion, at least, should be. But man, Matt, I swear you just brought up 6 questions in my head that if I go into them, my wife will murder me. You know that? I swear to God, she will. She will, man. I shit you not. But man, it's been a great interview, and I definitely would like to have you back on some point. But before we go, is there anything you want to get into, shout out, mention?
Well, I'd say if you want to try comics, I know the first volume of The Darkness is actually up on our website for free. You can go to topcow.com, topcow.com. If you scroll down to the lower right corner, there's a list of 50 different books that we give away for free for people to sample. Every social media platform has a Top Cow, TOPCOW brand. I'm on Twitter at TopCowMatt. I'm on Facebook. If you just put Matt Hawkins in there, it comes up either me or this South African rugby player, and I don't have a bunch of tats. I'm not a steroided out looking dude, so I'm the other guy with comic art behind me. So it's those I'm pretty active on, and look forward to talking to people online.
Hell yeah, man. It's been a great interview. As far as if you want to go find those links, like I said, you can go straight to topcow.com, or as well, you can go to fucking this event for this. I know I think it's shared both into the Facebook page for Supah Nerd-tendo, as well as I know it's shared into this event, the direct link to go check out those free comics over at Top Cow. Go do that. I suggest there's a lot of great fucking work there. Racer, you want to add anything?
I think I'm good. Thanks again for doing this, Matt. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
And you're not good at all, Racer. You're fucking pain in my ass, I swear to God. But, Mr. DKB, final thoughts?
No, it was a good show. I appreciate Matt coming on.
Awesome, man.
Hell yeah. Now, you know what? I don't have a goddamn song queued up to cut out to. Ain't that a motherfucking bitch, ladies and gentlemen? But you know what? Like Static G would say, what you do is represent. Make sure you check out Toxic. Yeah, that'll be fucking coming up sometime. I don't know, but check out this right now. Yeah, Represent by Fade of Rhymesake. Have a good night, y'all. Supah Nerd-tendo.
Yeah.